Hi everyone, we are here at Snowflake Summit and super excited to be with Hema Raghavan, co-founder and head of engineering at Kumo. Hema, this was long due. I know we met around the same time last year,
Yeah.
and I've seen all the amazing growth that Kumo has had. So one reason I wanted to definitely chat was, first thing, tell us more about what Kumo is, and also what's all about the growth in the last 1 year. Tell us more.
Thanks, Ravit. So, uh, yes, I'm Hema. I had engineering at Kumo. I'm also a co-founder,
Yeah.
and Kumo is uh, the creator of the first relational foundation model for AI. And what this gives you is the ability to predict any future-looking query. Think
Right.
customer churn. Think recommendations. Think fraud. And now with our latest innovation, without any training.
Oh.
So the
Wow.
Kumo RFM has no training. In our previous
Okay.
iterations, we had completely eliminated feature engineering, and it used to take us like, 2 to 3 hours for a model when my old team at LinkedIn used to take 6 months to
Very
build the first
interesting.
model. And
Yeah.
now we brought that time from even 2 to 3 hours down to zero with our fully pre-trained model on relational data warehouses.
That's pretty good and very interesting, the work that you are doing in this space. I'm pretty sure a lot of enterprise leaders are wanting to learn more and more. I know for a fact where I'm here, obviously the booth is super packed and I see people around and wanting to take the demo, but I'm kind of curious to learn from you. Since you've been here, you've been talking to a lot of enterprise leaders, you talk to a lot of customers day in
Yeah.
and out. What do you think about why are enterprises leaning on personalization in the era of information overloaded?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts there?
Great question. So let me walk you through my journey
Please
from
do.
this morning.
Yeah.
This morning I woke up and I discovered there's no milk in my fridge, but I want to prepare for Summit.
Right.
What do? I open an app. I say, hey, can I order, from my nearest store? I'm willing to wait to make my coffee.
Yeah.
But my app knows that I do this every
Yeah.
few days.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
it
Nice.
knows what store at the top and it knows what that Hema's going to order milk.
Okay. So the
Okay, but
recommendation is already
the
out there.
recommendation, right? So that's the
Yeah.
first prediction, a decision based on my past behavior that it had to do.
Is it also the timing? Sorry to
It is the
ask.
timing.
Is it also the
Right
timing?
message, right time, right user.
Okay. Okay.
And then after that, I say, okay, you know what? I have to go to Summit, and today's the last day of school. My kids don't have camps. I need to log into the camp aggregator website, and
right.
I'm like, and that thing also knows that
Yeah.
Hema has a 9-year-old and a 12-year-old, and she's probably looking for camps that have availability, and this is the typical, basketball and so on. So that's again another deep personalization.
Yeah,
so I was
exactly.
done with both of these in a matter of 10 minutes. I get
Nice.
into my car. My phone is an Android
Right.
based. My car is an Android based car,
Okay.
right?
Okay. Yeah.
It knows my calendar, so it knows where I have to go.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's another decision.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right? So Hema has to punch in the address. So decisions are coming over and over again. So in this area of information overload, what you said, right? Everything is competing for our attention.
Right. Exactly.
The phone, the TV. The only app that is going to, cut it is the one that does personalization well. The other part is trust. Because fraud is also a prediction problem.
So true.
Right?
So true.
So
Yeah.
when I swipe my credit card, every credit card transaction, I would not use my card the way we do it today until those models are actually highly accurate.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So trust, attention, these are all the factors that play into our lives. And there's so much productivity in our lives, but the apps that will be part of that story are the ones that get personalization done well.
Love it. I think you gave me a very cool example of how now I kind of start thinking about, how personalization kind of plays a very important role. And sometimes that's the thing when you kind
Yeah.
of, looking at things. There are huge enterprises which are doing this sort of, and using this sort of personalization
Yeah.
when you're using apps. And now I kind of start getting the understanding behind
It's
the
in
scenes.
every minute of
Every
your
minute,
day,
yeah.
but now we've internalized it so much.
Okay, that's fantastic. One more
Yeah.
quick question around that is, why aren't LLMs a one-size-fits-all solution? What do they excel at and what they don't? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so LLMs are a great tool for knowledge,
Right?
right? So they can index all of the world's knowledge.
Yeah.
I can query it. I can even prepare for meetings. I can understand through people's public profiles
Right.
what I need to know about them and or companies or do all of my research. It's brought that productivity play,
Yep.
right? But they don't give you these point decisions, right? Like it doesn't have. I think you mentioned the point of timing, right?
Timing,
It doesn't
right.
have that table view of all the clicks
Yeah.
that I have done, all the non-clicks that I have done and ignored and in the past,
Very
right?
important,
So it
yeah.
doesn't have that. So at the most you can prompt it with a few profile pictures of me to get a prediction, but the deep data that you have in your enterprise is the price point that I will normally buy at.
Buy ad. Oh wow.
Or
Really?
I like my milk to be organic, or I like, that deep level of
Personalization
data
can't
across,
happen.
and across so many tables. Like
Tables.
an LLM can just read text.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
not going to learn across all
Exactly.
of the structure, right?
Right.
So how can you have a transformer technology that looks across, tens of tables? Like we have one customer who's using us for risk prediction.
Oh,
They
nice.
have 30 tables.
30 different tables.
Tables
Wow.
with data, and we're doing prediction for risk for that.
Okay, that's pretty interesting, and
Yeah.
that's actually very valuable in terms of if we can get personalization to a level where now you get to a level like understanding the timing,
Yeah.
understanding what sort of milk preference
Yeah.
do I have. Even maybe going in a Uber, if I kind of it already knows which Uber is it, like the standard XL.
Exactly.
Maybe according to the location as well. Sometimes if I'm
Yes.
kind of going to the airports, I'm just taking XL.
Yes.
So it should predict just an XL during that
Exactly.
time.
So predictions are everywhere.
And it also connects with your calendar. Sorry, it also connects with your calendar and timing that, okay, now Ravit has a flight at, say, 12 noon
Yes.
tomorrow. And that's when I have to give him a recommendation of Excel.
And as all these agentic systems come in,
Right.
agents are going to have to make decisions.
Right?
So I was reading somewhere, LLMs can talk, but the doer is the decision engine, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's where product like Kumo is the decision engine.
Nice.
The agent is the one that's going to make the action.
Right, exactly.
Right? The LLM will be the interface. It will talk to you, synthesize the information
So
for you,
important.
and so on.
Yeah, this is fantastic. I think, Hema, you shared some amazing insights, and it's kind of a learning experience for me as well, that how do things kind of, work
Yeah.
behind the scenes. I'm also wanting to learn, since we are on this topic of enterprises rely on 20-year-old, machine learning. We've all seen that,
Yeah.
and I know why they kind of come from there, because
Yeah.
obviously things move slower, at least in the regulated industries. But now things are kind of, obviously changing too. There are enterprise leaders who are very much interested to
Yeah.
do things faster. They want to do things in AI. They want to use agents. But what are you kind of excited about, and why do you think that 20-year-old ML is still, happening at different enterprises?
Yeah. So I think the way the 20-year-old ML in enterprises largely means they were working with the XG boost or logistic regression
Right.
model, right? And for that kind of model, you need so many data engineering pipelines.
Right.
Like feature after feature. So you've invested over 2 decades to
Exactly.
engineer these legacy pipelines.
Yep.
So if you want to undo that, it is a cost. And then you have someone who comes and says, hey, I can move accuracy by 0.1%
Right.
in the next quarter.
It is something.
Versus you spend 3 months re-engineering. I think it takes courageous leaders to say, you know what, I'll leave the 0.1 on the table. We're going to rewrite. We're going to take the modern data stack and then move 10% later. So
It
takes
definitely
courage.
takes courage, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I also understand it is something which is uh, at the level at where they are kind of working around, and with the data, so much data.
Yeah.
So that's a very good point that you mentioned. I'm also wanting to know a little bit about the RAG is like all the rage, right?
Yeah.
So where does it fall short, especially as AI agents are taking the spotlight now, and things kind of move very quickly in the AI space as
Yeah.
well. That's what I've been kind of seeing since the last 3 years. Like
Yeah.
now, obviously we have the agents, A2A, many more things as well.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts there?
So I think of RAG as a toolkit that is needed
Yeah.
to prevent the LLM from hallucinating. But
So
it's
true.
still contained in the LLM, like that very question answering, summarization kind of use case.
Right.
And within RAG, you can actually bring personalization, right? Because
Personalization.
if you say,
Right.
I'm going to Turkey on a trip and I want to explore XYZ, like these are what I like.
Yeah.
It the rack can personalize. So we have customers who might call Kumo to get a set of predictions and then anchor the rag on that personalization.
Very important. Yeah,
Right? Yeah.
exactly. I think that is a very valid point that you're kind of talking about. RAG is important, but I think agents also kind of running
Yeah.
in a direction where they want to get the work done
Yeah.
in
And
the most personalized way possible.
Exactly. And agents are the ones that are going to be the doers.
Doers.
Right?
So
the
true.
LLM is the talker. So you
Yeah.
need the talker, you need the
You
doer,
doer
you
as
need
well.
everybody.
Everybody in the
Yes.
game. That's nice. Also, why is AI, on structured data key to tangible ROI, and why are companies dropping, the ball now? What's the thought process there?
Yeah, so as we discussed in that early example, right, that click data, the view data,
Yep.
all of that is in structured data, right?
Right.
And that's where companies need to use, like, the LLM is not going to solve it.
Yeah,
You need an
yeah.
alternate technology.
Exactly.
But then if you're stuck in the old way of doing it, then you're in these models which take 3 months, 6 months to ship.
So true.
Right? So that's when you need, like, a Kumo-like relational foundation model or a graph transformer and so on. Where do companies drop the ball is actually related to that previous point, which
Yeah.
is the data strategy.
Right.
Rethink your data strategy. Look 5, 10 years ahead and make bold moves.
You need to be courageous. That's what I
Yeah.
hear from you, and there needs to be leaders who are really wanting to get into the game, because sometimes the results kind of evolve over time as well.
Yes.
You start with agents today, maybe in the 3 years when you have trained the model so well, there'll be something new after 3 years, I'm pretty sure, but then agents will still stay.
Yes.
And that is what really maybe the enterprise leaders need to understand when it kind of comes to the implementation process as well.
Yeah, I was in a forum where Kevin Scott, the CTO
Yeah,
of Microsoft, was, advising a set of CTOs, and he was saying that if you're waiting for all of these foundation models and LLMs to get really good to change your strategy in your company, you're going to be too late.
Too late.
You
Right.
have to get
Yeah.
in now, and each of these foundation model
adapt.
companies will keep improving their models, so you should assume that and build your strategy around
That's
that.
such a good point, right? Because if I go back and see what happened, say, 2 years back, while we were using ChatGPT or
Yes.
other, obviously tools, it was a different ballgame altogether. It used to hallucinate. It used to not understand what we were kind of, trying to
Yeah.
say. Or the personalization point was kind of also missing out
Yeah.
there. But now the models are getting trained on how much we're using them.
Right.
So if you're getting, if say I'm using ChatGPT for the things that I'm doing,
Yeah.
and if I'm late to the game while I start like 3 years later, it just becomes a challenge, right?
Exactly,
But right now, if I
exactly.
tell, okay, this is what I've done, this is the show I'm doing with Hema,
Yeah.
and your other questions, it can do so much more for me. Not only creating draft blogs, I think multiple iterations of the content that can be distributed on various channels
Yeah.
in my voice.
Yes.
So
exactly.
I think you're so right, and I'm just taking it as an example as an individual, but at a company level you can do so much more, I feel, right?
I agree. 100%.
That's
Ravit.
awesome. Hema,
Yeah.
this is such a fantastic conversation, and I'll keep the conversation going.
Absolutely.
And lovely meeting you. thanks for sharing all the insights, but the great growth that Kumo has had.
Thank you.
Congratulations, and we'll keep chatting. We'll keep running
Exactly.
this.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Appreciate it.
Yes,
Thank you,
thank you.
everyone, for joining us today.